Welcome to the TauView podcast, where AI meets expertise. Join us as we explore the future of interviewing and proctoring.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to our first E-Assessment Association sponsored session. This is new for us because normally we have special interest groups, we have our events and conferences, etc. But we thought, having spoken to Sanjo a little while ago, there'd be a really good idea to provide the opportunity for people to be able to talk about some of the exciting things they're doing in technology in a forum. So I suspect we'll be running a lot more of these over the next few months or so. One thing I would like to say is I'm very excited about this because AI agents, I think, provide a huge opportunity to increase the capability of AI in terms of improving a whole range of things on assessment. So what I'm going to do now is pass you over to Sanjo and Sundar, who will be able to take you through the presentation. Thank you very much.
So much, good afternoon, everyone. I'm Sundar Nagaratnam, and our session today will be on the role of AI agents in proctoring and how this is redefining the future of proctoring, especially with e-assessments. Before we begin, we'd like to know a little bit about yourself as the audience, just so we have the right context and then we're able to address the key requirements in here. So we have a very short poll here around where you are in your assessment journey. And if you can just take a few seconds to, the instructions are out there. You can join at slido.com and 1541246. Please go ahead and we'll give this a couple of minutes. And if you can share a little bit about what your journey looks like, that will be very helpful. Okay, we got a couple of responses here. We did expect it to be about 33%. Yeah.
Curious what others would be.
Yeah. Very good. So it's a little bit of a distribution around, those that are a bit new. You got online proctoring, but looking to scale up. And then please do drop your comment here. And there's those that are exploring the move to e-assessment as well. So it gives a little bit of a breakdown across multiple groups here, if you will. So thank you. That helps us a little bit. So let me start a little bit quickly about my background. I've been in the business of learning for way too many decades, I think. And many years ago, I was senior director at Oracle, launched some of the first certifications on Oracle database, and brought a fast LMS called Oracle iLearning when I was with them. I spent quite a few years as a GM of education and certification at companies like Cognos, Automation Anywhere, VMware, Salesforce. I was SVP of Salesforce University, NetApp, Hyperion, etc. And over the last couple of years, I've been spending a good amount of time more in an advisory capacity, helping companies on their journey on education, certification, etc. also. So what we want to do is just get a little bit more about your needs around what you're expecting to find out. We got a little bit about your background. So if you can take just a couple seconds to answer whether you are looking for AI proctoring to help scale your needs, AI proctoring agent to help reduce costs, or what this could mean for your human you. You concerned about the candidate's experience, all of this. And so that will be very helpful to get a pulse of the audience. Sanjo, perhaps we can mute.
Okay.
Okay. So I think the majority of the need is around what AI proctoring agents mean for your human proctoring solution. And I think that will be what we will also spend the majority of our time talking to. So that's very helpful here. Okay. Thank you. All right. So before we dive into how agents are transforming online proctoring, let me set some context out here. Our industry has come a long way from traditional in-person proctoring, um, with its limitations in scale to virtual live proctoring that opened up remote possibilities. Somebody managing the screen here, it seems to be jumping around. Okay. Bear with me. Yeah. From traditional in-person proctoring with its limitations in scale to virtual live proctoring that opened up remote possibilities, but still carried human constraints. We then saw the emergence of record and review approaches, followed by basic AI assistance for human proctors. Today, we are at the cusp of another significant leap with AI agents that can actively engage with and respond to the assessment environment. So, if we look at what we're going to explore these critical ways around, first, we look at how LLM powered agents are actually surpassing human detection capabilities and accuracy. This isn't just about automated monitoring, it's about having an intelligent agent that can understand context and make nuanced decisions in real time. Second, we'll examine how these agents enable exponential scalability with significant cost benefits. Unlike traditional AI tools, these agents can handle complex scenarios independently, and that will dramatically reduce the need for human intervention. Third, we'll discuss how AI agents are creating a superior candidate experience through intelligent, responsive proctoring. These aren't just passive monitoring systems, again, they're interactive agents that can provide support and guidance while maintaining security as well. Finally, we'll look at how these agent-based systems are delivering secure assessments globally 24/7 while addressing assessment integrity and data privacy. This is particularly crucial for high-stakes assessments where both the validity of results and protection of personal data are going to be paramount. Okay? So we'll start with the first topic. As assessment professionals, we've all witnessed this evolution of online proctoring. The early days were really about replicating the human proctor experience digitally. From one proctor watching multiple screens trying to catch suspicious behavior. We also have rule-based AI systems that could flag predefined patterns. But this is really where it gets very interesting. Human proctors excel at understanding context. They can differentiate between a student adjusting their glasses and one trying to communicate. They can understand nuanced behaviors, right? However, they get fatigued. They can only monitor a limited number of things between primary camera, a secondary camera, screen feed, audio feed, etc. At best, they can also scale up to maybe about 4 students, and their effectiveness varies by individual, how they're trained, etc. The current AI-based proctoring platforms in many of the vendors that we have, on the other hand, what they can do is they can monitor tirelessly, but they lack a lot of the contextual understanding. They have some rigid rules, limited rules that lead to many false positives and missed infractions as well. So what's fascinating with the large language models that we now have and advanced AI, and every day this is improving and changing, is fundamentally changing this paradigm. We're now seeing innovations that can understand context like humans, but they can just operate at a different scale. The level of consistency, the level of accuracy is just multi-fold now. We're really fortunate to have Sanjo, CEO of TagView, with us to discuss these transformative capabilities. Sanjo, perhaps you could start by providing an introduction to the TagView platform You've been in this online proctoring space for several years. So what like if you reimagine proctoring with LLMs, and could you introduce us to this new approach?
Thanks, Sundar. Really grateful for the opportunity, EAT, Pat, and Adam. We've, I think we've spoken on this platform before, but I'll quickly do an intro of myself and Talview before I get into the details of that. I'm the current CEO and also a co-founder of Talview. I've been in the skill management learning space for a couple of decades now. Talview is a company which I co-founded in 2017. Today, we work with more than 200 plus enterprise customers where we help them to deliver secure exams across the globe. We deliver exams in more than 120 plus countries across organizations. Some of the leading universities like Cambridge University, some large technology certification companies like Meta and NVIDIA. We also work with a lot of skilled in assessment companies like City and Guilds and a wide variety of other organizations as well. We, on an average, do around 5 to 6 million proctored exams on the platform every year. So when it comes to, and Sundar, if we can move to the next slide. So our journey towards launching Alvi, the world's first AI proctoring agent, it was really driven by our objective to, I would say, improve proctoring from three perspectives. The first one is about the accuracy. How do we ensure that we can, especially when it comes to remote proctoring today, one of the challenges is whether it's human-based proctoring or the first form of more automated AI-based proctoring. There are a lot of false positives or consistency issues when it comes to remote proctoring. So we wanted to, we were very excited when LLM vision capabilities came in the market. We want to explore how this could enhance, if not completely replace what the current methods of remote proctoring has been. And that was one of our key drivers. The second one was really around how do we improve candidate experience. A lot of, and we'll talk more about this later, but a lot of our focus has been around how do we drive an experience which is very personalized for every test taker. At the end of the day, proctoring is not just about monitoring the test takers and ensuring compliance with exam guidelines. It's also about how do we assist every test taker from the beginning they come on the platform to test completion, whether they are facing any technical issues, whether they have questions, their stress management, all of those aspects. How do we create an experience which is really impactful? And third is from a cost and scalability standpoint, how do we build something which is more affordable, more accessible for a wide variety of use cases? So from a Talview standpoint, we were very excited when LLM vision capabilities were launched, and in our early experiments with LLM vision, we saw that the vision capabilities are at par, if not better, than humans from a vision capability standpoint. So then for us, but it's still unwieldy, right? So I'm not sure what's the familiarity level of large language models for the audience, but LLMs are known to hallucinate. There are predictability issues with how LLMs behave. So a lot of our focus was around how do we fine tune and build a model which would support an AI agent or an agent or a proctoring experience which meets all of this criteria. So we're very proud that we of what we have been able to achieve over the last, I would say, 6 months, where today we've seen that is 8x more effective in terms of detecting suspicious activities compared to traditional AI proctoring. So why a traditional AI proctoring model or a AI automated proctoring engine can detect some very basic sets of, I would say, infraction. An AI agent can pretty much do everything a human proctor can do. Secondly, it is very consistent. So if you look at human proctoring, and here our comparison was primarily with human proctors, typically what happens in human proctoring is there is a consistency issue because a proctor is monitoring multiple candidates, and they are also looking in multiple feeds from the candidates. There's a primary camera, there's a screen feed, sometimes there's a secondary camera. They also need to monitor the audio feed of the test taker. And when a human is doing that for like 3, 4, sometimes more than 4 candidates, the number of feeds, the multitasking which they need to do to ensure that not just monitoring, but also from a assistant standpoint, the turnaround time, a lot of those things become a challenge. But we saw that with agent, we've been able to maintain a much higher consistency. So across our sample data sets, we have seen that more than 90% of events were recognized. Compared to a human proctor, essentially that could be more in the realm of 70 to 80. And here I'm not just referring to monitoring, but their ability to respond to every aspect of proctoring online. And then the other key element here is, and I think this has been one of, and I'll talk more about it later as well, one of the bigger, I would say, concerns early on with AI was how humane the experience would be when you're interacting with an agent compared to a human. But I think over the last few months, we have learned that we can create really unique, empathetic experiences with this large language models who can communicate very effectively. And that has been leveraged to provide test taker support across the entire exam experience. So, and it's available 24/7, error-free, on demand. So we're really proud of what we have been able to achieve, and see what our early customers have shared in terms of feedback.
Sanjo, thank you for that. I think the industry is going to hear a lot about Alvi. Really, it's already creating quite a buzz, right? But a basic question that I get asked often, and I think you probably are in a better position to explain this better, is what exactly is this difference between a chatbot and an AI agent? What makes the differentiator here?
Yeah. So I think whenever we think of AI or automation, especially when it comes to customer support, a lot of us are experienced calling the customer care, whether it's for a credit card or for your the telephone line or whatever. A lot of us have bad experiences in terms of how chatbots, whether it's an voice bot or a text-based bot, operate. They operate primarily within the constraints of, they have a limited set of Q&A, question and answers, which they have been trained on, and they can only address those specific question and answers. And you always have some unique requirement which might not be covered by the Q&A which it is trained on, and you will always struggle, and you can't wait to get to a human, right? So the board kind of becomes a gatekeeper, an annoying gatekeeper for all practical purposes. And that's the experience which we have, and that's what that has also created a lot of I would say stigma against AI or automated experience when it comes to any form of automation. But where agents are different, I think most of us are familiar with ChatGPT. If we have not personally used it, at least heard of it in news or other outlets. That is what an agent is. So essentially, ChatGPT is a chat agent, which is an intelligent agent which can converse with you the same way a human would converse on any topic which you want to engage the agent with. So now think of ChatGPT and think of that in any other use case where you want to apply an intelligent agent. For example, in the realm of remote proctoring, the difference between a traditional AI proctoring and an agent is it can process more complex tasks. So it can analyze information which is coming to it, whether it's in terms of the feeds which are coming to it, any text input from the test taker. And then it can make decisions which are more complex, which are more contextual and inference-based compared to a rule-based decision-making, which traditionally chatbots were used to doing. So, and the underlying technology which we all are very, I would say, excited about is the large language models, which is kind of the latest AI model which has taken the world by storm. And that's what an agent use under the hood, where In this case, the agent is multimodal. What that means is, the agent can not just process text inputs, but it can also process video inputs, audio inputs, all of that to make these informed decisions. And then also it understands and remembers the context of the conversation. So, and in this case of proctoring, the agent knows that their role is of that of a proctor, and they are expected to assist the candidate to take the exam in a fair and accessible manner. And then also that they are also expected to enforce the rule of law when it comes to monitoring the exam. And then it can also have very tailored responses to each user. So there are a lot of advantages from that standpoint. So, for example, it can talk in most languages which humans talk. So it can converse with the user on any language. It understands a lot of the cultural nuances which it is already trained on. So it can assume the same cultural nuances in conversation of the end user or the listener. So a lot of those things is what sets an AI agent apart from its endpoint.
This is really very clear, the shift from the chatbot approach to very purpose-built AI agent, which is what Alvi is, right? But really what intrigues me is how this technological leap now affects the economics of proctoring, right? In traditional models, scaling meant just you add more human proctors linearly, more test takers implies more proctors, which drives up costs proportionally. Even the current AI-assisted proctoring, there's still significant human resource requirements to maintain your quality, and especially as you get into high-stakes exams, right? What I find fascinating about Alvi and this new generation of AI is it fundamentally changes the equation, right? You're no longer bound by a linear scaling relationship. There's obviously going to be a significant cost benefit without the need to deploy additional humans. So, could you sort of walk us through how the Alvi architecture enables you to scale test administration without the additional correlation between proctor headcount and test taker numbers? And I think we actually had that as one of the questions also from the audience.
I think scaling is probably the most impactful aspect of AI agents when it comes to remote proctoring. So when you think about scale traditionally, right? So there are multiple constraints when it comes to a human-based or a human plus automation-based remote proctoring, which has been, I would say, what the industry is used to as the most cutting edge till date. The challenges are, one is accuracy. How many test takers can a proctor monitor at a given point of time without impacting accuracy? So that has been one constraint. Second is with respect to experience. Test takers often need assistance when they're getting onboarded, when they're going through the exams. So sometimes they also need someone to answer those questions. When it comes to human proctors, there's always an aspect of lag or delay. The human proctor, if they're assisting one candidate, then they would need some time before they can handle that and then get to the next user or next test taker. So there's always an impact of user experience. And then there is an impact of scalability and also effectiveness. So from a scalability standpoint, we can think about it in terms of concurrency. There are limitations in terms of how large a pool of human proctors you can manage and how you can scale it up on demand significantly. If you, let's say, have sporadic exams where the demand cannot be forecasted effectively, or if you have use cases where the proctoring basically is largely based on specific events and you need a large number of proctors. So it's the managing that large pool of proctors is always a challenge. And then obviously it comes to the cost. Human proctoring is always associated with a higher cost. You need to pay for the proctors who are doing this service, and that makes it kind of unaffordable for a lot of use cases which would otherwise benefit from having a human proctor from an assistance standpoint, from monitoring standpoint, from protection of the content standpoint, or all of those aspects. So what Alvi is able to do is address all of those constraints in a very effective manner. So, for example, in this comparison between traditional remote proctoring and AI proctoring agent, you can see the let's talk about the first component. So, from a accuracy standpoint, like we kind of briefly discussed in the beginning part of this conversation, there is no yeah.
Sanjay, I think you bring up a good point, but there's also a question that's popped up around. This seems too good to be true, and can you have examples and demos also, which I think we'll definitely follow up with some additional details if needed, right? As we get through this, but I think the advancement and the progress is just amazing. Just I think that's the comment we're seeing.
Obviously, the agent-based adoption, which is happening not just in proctoring, which we are spearheading here, but across industries, what ChatGPT has been able to do, how it has been, how LLMs have been adopted in education, how LLMs have been adopted in spaces like customer support already with significant results. I think it's one of those step changes which is really disruptive and is significantly changing the level playing field. So if you look at the traditional tri-spectra of cost, experience, and scalability, it's one of those step changes which is making it better across all parameters. So from a proctoring standpoint, when we talk about accuracy, which is probably the best aspect of the trifecta from an LV standpoint, is a human proctor always have limitations in terms of how much concurrency they can manage, or how effectively they can multitask compared to an AI agent. AI agents will be able to treat each feed independently with the same accuracy as they can, compared to a traditional human proctor based approach. When it comes to experience, and we'll talk more about this later, but at a high level, what I want to highlight is the aspect of turnaround time, which is a key part of the entire proctoring experience, is significantly reduced, because the agent can interact with multiple candidates at the same time. You don't have to go off sequentially from one test taker to another. So that makes a huge difference. And from a cost standpoint, and I believe that is one of the questions as well. From a cost standpoint, the technology has been, I'm not sure, but for those of you who have been tracking the launch of large language models, the cost has already gone down 100 times in the last 12 to 18 months, and it continues to go down. So from a cost of servicing standpoint, we believe this technology can significantly bring down the cost of remote proctoring without compromising on the quality. And that's what we've been also able to demonstrate in the first few months of launching Alvi.
Thanks. When we look at the scalability you've described is compelling, and the cost benefits can be huge, especially when you have large volumes of test takers, right? Ultimately, for us, though, it's important to ensure a positive candidate experience. And can Alvi actually improve that experience? Because traditional proctoring creates this multiple friction points for candidates. They have the scheduling hassle. You have to try to align the availability with proper schedules across time zones. During the test, there is always this environment of suspicion, stress, etc. There's anxiety with every movement that they might make, and they scratch their head, adjust their glasses, right? They might worry about being flagged. So with remote proctoring, there's that the technical setup anxiety is something that also gets added in here, right? Alvi removes, I think, the potential to remove these friction points entirely is, to me, it's very intriguing. The ability to take an exam anywhere, anytime, while still maintaining the security, the rigorous security, this becomes a game changer for test takers, administrators, and the candidates as well. So with this 24/7 capability with Alvi, can you share a bit about the test takers experience? What does this on-demand approach mean for candidate satisfaction?
Yeah, I think within the first few months of launching Alvi, we have noticed a significant improvement in test taker experience compared to one when you compare to traditional automated proctoring, and then also in some cases with comparing with human proctoring. So let me call out a few specific aspects. So from a human proctoring aspect, one thing which always has been kind of a challenge or a thorn in their human remote proctoring has been you are having a stranger looking at you as a test taker when you're going through this test taking experience, and it is intrusive experience. What we have seen is consistently candidates where we've had a human proctor being replaced by LV. We have seen that the experience has been rated as a lot less non-intrusive. The fact that it's an agent, which is an impartial, objective, I would say, being, for lack of better word, monitoring you compared to a human monitoring you, that has received positive feedback from a lot of test takers early on. The other aspect is from a support standpoint. I think we spoke about the turnaround time, but then there are other aspects of support also, which is important. So the knowledge. So you, when it comes to human proctors, there is a limit to how effectively they can assist test takers in wide variety of scenarios. But then an agent can be trained for almost all the scenarios which test takers might get into a challenging situation when they're trying to launch their exam, and they can continuously learn. So the ability to support test takers for a wide variety of use cases consistently and resolve their onboarding issues or resolve their questions on specific aspects of test taking has also received great feedback, which again puts the test takers at much higher ease. The fact that there are there is higher accuracy, and as a result of that, lesser false positives or false negatives, especially false positives. We have all had test takers concerned about, like, when they're being prompted with a warning, especially when we were using automated proctoring, the traditional automated proctoring, where, let's say, the lighting was probably a little dull, or they had a book, black colored book, which probably was allowed in the exam but looked like their smartphone getting flagged as a false positive. It always led to dissatisfaction and stress for test takers during the exam. But by bringing down that false positive rate as a result of higher accuracy, we have seen that it is putting candidates at much better ease. And lastly, the the quality of conversations which we've been able to train the agent for with test takers. We have seen that if there are the cultural nuances, language differences, a lot of those aspects. So today, Alvi is primarily a chat-based experience. We do have in our roadmap an audio-based experience as well, but it's primarily a chat-based experience between the test taker and Alvi. The detailed level of, I would say, empathy and other nuances which Alvi has been able to bring into conversations have also received praise from test takers early on.
I wanted you to touch upon because with Europe in particular, I think inclusivity is a very big aspect of this as well. I think we should just call out, or perhaps you can speak a little bit to the Alvi capabilities there.
Yeah. So we've also one of the questions we have often received is we have a lot of these accommodation aspects when it comes to test taking and remote proctoring, which obviously human proctors are trying to accommodate. Is Alvi capable of doing that? So Talview has been committed towards accessibility. We are WCAG 2.2 compliant platform from last year. And when we launched Alvi, we want to ensure that all of those aspects, the inclusiveness of the platform, is maintained from an agent experience standpoint as well. So Alvi is already trained to handle visually impaired test takers, any form of specially able test takers, their use cases are all, or the agent already knows how to handle those test takers. There's a significant amount of, I would say, conversational ability to manage stress, which the agent is trained with, which has already received great feedback from test takers. And then there are also provisions if there are your exams involve breaks, or if there are other nuances which traditionally with the traditional AI proctoring you cannot handle those exceptions. It always follows the same rule, and then any infraction from that rule, it would trigger violations, or you will have to stop proctoring in between and then restart it. Some of those gaps have also been addressed with Alvi, where all these exceptions it's trained to handle better.
I think for the candidates, the on-demand ability that you mentioned is obviously a big benefit. It sort of brings us, though, to me, what's most critical for assessment providers, right? Maintaining unwavering assessment integrity, data privacy is a very big issue. So ensuring that as well. So with traditional proctoring methods, whenever or whether we use human proctors, current AI-based proctoring, or record and review approaches, that maintaining of the consistency in assessment integrity is a significant challenge. Right? Human proctors, no matter how well trained, can vary their vigilance and interpretation of suspicious behavior. Even across a single day, their effectiveness will potentially fluctuate, right? The handling and protection of candidate data adds another layer of complexity, particularly when we think about the stringent privacy requirements we have in Europe. So when we are running assessments around the clock, the data integrity, the assessment integrity, privacy, etc., we just need systems that are more rigorous in protecting assessment validity and meticulous in safeguarding personal data, right? So how does Alvi ensure this dual protection, if you will, and you can speak to that? I know we are also getting to, we've got a few minutes. We want to give some time for questions.
Yeah. So Alvi is built GDPR compliant, which has been, I think, the biggest ask from customers when we initially launched it. We do not use any of the customer data for training the models. So it's completely, the capability which you see is out of the box, so that it doesn't require any training. And then obviously from a security standpoint, we are SOC 2 and ISO certified, and that translates to Alvi as well in terms of encryption of data. We use best-in-class encryption as well.
Very good, very good. Right. So we've covered significant ground today in understanding how AI agents are revolutionizing online proctoring, right? So if I look at and recap what we've learned that LLM-based AI agents are not just matching but surpassing human capabilities in monitoring and detection. This isn't simply about automating what human proctors do. It's about achieving a new level of intelligent contextual monitoring. We've explored how these AI agents enable assessment providers to scale exponentially while actually reducing costs. This breaks free from that linear relationship that I mentioned between proctor headcount and test taker numbers. We've also seen how AI agents are transforming the candidate experience, right? That ability to take exams on demand with intelligent responsive proctoring, removing a lot of the friction points while you're maintaining the security aspect, right? And which is the final part, which we talked about, how these AI agents are ensuring both assessment integrity and data privacy, which are crucial requirements for high stakes assessments, and particularly here in Europe, right? So if you can also just sort of summarize how Alvi is leading the transformation in AI agent-based proctoring, then we'll take a couple of questions up.
Yeah, I think I covered it at the beginning, but I just want to reemphasize that the way Alvi is getting used today, it's significantly replacing a lot of our record and review traditional workloads, where instead of having a human proctor go in and review these exams post facto, we have customers getting real-time reports which are of the same quality, if not better. by using Alvi. With live proctoring, we today use Alvi with human supervision. This is more from I would say, giving customers the comfort of feeling that there is some human supervision while the agent is monitoring these exams. So there, we have while the agent monitors, interacts with the candidate, there's always an escalation path or intervention path for our human proctors to come into the proctored session. And then if the candidate, if there are scenarios which requires additional supervision, or if there are scenarios which requires termination of the test taker as per the standard operating procedure established by the customer, we have a human proctor getting involved and taking care of that. So it's I think agents are here to stay. We are going to see them in variety of use cases. And at Alview, we are very proud to be the first provider who has brought an AI proctoring agent into the market, and we would love to work with our customers and create an experience which is a win-win for test takers, test publishers, and also Alview as a service provider.
Great. Thank you so much for that, Sanjay. I want to run another poll, but before I just do that, we have a question that do we have a copy? Can we get a copy of the presentation? I think the copy and the recording will definitely be available. We also have some details here on where you can go for more information. Definitely, you can contact the Palview team to get some additional details and get some demos, or if you want much more detailed dive into the architecture of the platform, and I think Sanjay's team will be happy to provide. Got a bunch of customers that are using within the region as well. So while we just sort of prepare for the Q&A, we want to ensure that what aspects you'd like to explore further. Please use the poll to indicate your area of greatest interest so that we can follow up or plan the next webinar series accordingly if relevant. We'll give you a couple minutes and then we'll take questions.
So I think while we get the responses, I can see in the comments that there are a couple of questions which we haven't addressed. One is around the processing cost, especially processing video in real time. I don't want to disclose a lot of details under the hood, but essentially we have a mechanism which is very scalable, and we are able to do that in a fairly cost-effective manner. Obviously, I think there are further optimizations and improvements which are happening in the space, but this is something which we have been able to achieve. Then there is another question about the examples and demos you can share. Would love to connect with anybody who's interested in a demo. We saw the details in the previous slide. We can walk you through a detailed demo. I also have a short video which I can showcase once we complete the poll.
Yeah, I think there's details around candidate feedback. I think that seems to be the primary thing around the satisfaction metrics. That's the biggest requirement. But you've got the other areas around integration, technical deep dive, something else. I think you address a couple of the questions here, right? So there's one more around seeing the AI agent in action, particularly how it interacts with the test taker to put them at ease. Do you want us to run the demo in here, Sanjay? I know that our session is about to wrap up. We've got about 12 minutes, right? So you have the link in here that's a little bit of the demo that walks through, I think, the YouTube video. Adam, I want to also sort of pass back to you to see if we just have any additional information we can share back. We'll definitely share the deck and the recordings with the FMBC.
Okay. Great. We will please reach out to us. Would love to walk anybody who's interested through a demo. Unfortunately, I think it seems like we have run out of time here, and really excited about what this means for the industry, and look forward to connecting with anyone who would be interested in exploring this further. Thank you.
Thank you all for joining us today. A very happy holidays to all of you, and we look forward to sharing much more details about the Alvi and the debate what the Alvi team is doing. We want to thank the EA team, Adam and Pat as well, for giving us this opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you for listening. Stay tuned for more insightful content on Gen AI-powered interviewing and remote proctoring.